God, I'm so late today. Hello, everybody. Welcome to, I think, the 5th episode of Serenity Night Live. We are doing so well. I am so happy with my 5th episode. So, like I said, welcome to my show. This is where we talk about accountability. We talk about body doubling, which we'll explain in a minute. But today's fantastic episode is going to be based on injustice sensitivity. This particular topic is very dear to my heart because I am your average grudge holder. And I will hold a grudge for years and years and years. And it's just, I can't help myself. You're only as good as your last conversation with me. So if your last conversation didn't go well with me, consider that our last conversation ever. That's just the way it works. So, injustice sensitivity is basically that tiny unfair moment that ruins your entire week, maybe your entire life, maybe just the day. I want to talk about what injustice sensitivity is. I've had loads and loads of questions come to me regarding this because I think a lot of you feel this a lot, like big time. But before I spiral into a rant about the time when I was wronged last night, or even about one that I was back in 2003, let's get into it. I am so sorry if today I seem a little bit disjointed. I've literally just opened up my fasting 10 minutes ago. The sugar is rushing to my brain and I'm all over the place. So let me just spend some time and say hi to a few people. Hello, everybody. I can see some regulars coming in. Hey, Suraj. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining. I think this is the first time you're seeing me live on my Serenity Night Live show. This show is all about coaching. It's all about brainstorming. It's all about thinking about those subjects that are typically to do with ADHD, but neurotypical people struggle with this as well. So, it's good to see a lot of people coming to join me and to talk about this. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the accountability. So I had some people messaging me saying, look, can you say this, that I'm going to commit myself? And I had some people saying they want to declutter, and I had some people say that they want to wake up a bit earlier. So here we go. So accountability, can't even speak. Accountability challenge for this week. We have 3 people who have nominated themselves. So we've got Marcus, who has committed to drinking at least 2 litres of water every day this week. We've got Tasha, who is aiming to declutter 1 messy drawer or a shelf before the next show. Do you know what? Could you do one every day? Let me know. Message me. Leo has promised to wake up 30 minutes earlier this week because he's working on a personal project. So, Leo, get a little bit more specific with that. With the personal project, every time you want to wake up 30 minutes earlier, think about what you want to achieve for that particular project as well, so that every day you're hitting that target and then that project is done. So just something for next time. Just a quick say hello. Hi, Amelia. You are my regular. I love you. Hi. Nice to see you, Jax. Nice to see you back. Walaikum salam to you too. So today, if you're joining the body challenge, I am not having a good time today. I cannot speak because I think I just need some water. I am dehydrated. I have had no food. I'm going to eat after this show. So let's see. Now, have you got an accountability challenge? You've got 7 days to get it done. It could be anything. It could be a project that you need to get done. It could be a commitment that you want to make every day. Let me know what they are. Put them in the comments. Let's get some accountability challenges for the next 7 days set, and then come back to me next week and let me know. Okay, so body doubling challenge. You have got 10 to 15 minutes now to go ahead and do that job that you always wanted to do. So is it tidying up that room? Is it doing that ironing? Is it, I don't know, you tell me. What are you going to do while I go on for 10 minutes talking about injustice sensitivity? So this is one of my favorite subjects. So I think this will resonate with a lot of people. So I'm really hoping it resonates with you as well. So as you know, ADHD, I have inattentive ADHD, which comes with a bonus pack of just a lot of emotional sensitivity. So it could be, I'm very, very intense with my emotions. So Rejection sensitivity is one. We'll come to that at some point in the next coming weeks. And injustice sensitivity, emotional dysregulation, the idea that, you know, we feel that we're never going to be good enough is something that comes to us. What is that? Could we not have that kind of language, Jax? It's other people are going to be reading these comments, and I just don't really want that kind of thing. Okay, so let's talk about injustice sensitivity. Have you seen it happen? It's happened in my own life, because let's be real, why is this happening to be? Meltdowns happen on a regular basis with me. You know, it could be anything from somebody cutting up and while I'm driving. I find that very annoying. There's no reason to do that. There's plenty of road for everybody. What has happened to you that you felt very, very keenly and you thought, that's just not fair, and you just actually stood up and talked about it? So I had some people sending me some questions because they wanted to know what injustice sensitivity actually is. So let me put it in a layman's terms. Have you ever thought about a small unfair thing that has ever happened to you, and suddenly your brain is drafting legal documents in lieu of this? It's basically getting ready to sue. It's fuming. There's cues. You start feeling a bit hot. You start feeling just awful. I've seen it in my coaching sessions. I've seen clients hold on to old grievances and old resentments, and I do the same thing. I think it is totally an ADHD thing. So I wanted to ask you, what do you think injustice sensitivity actually is? What do you perceive it as? I perceive it as unfairness that triggers a disproportionate. So the actual thing for this, the actual definition for this, and I'm going to read it out here. Injustice sensitivity is when perceived unfairness triggers a disproportionate emotional response. It's not just that's not fair. It's more of, I will think about this for the next 15 years. So unlike general fairness concerns, injustice sensitivity is deeply personal, and it often feels like an attack on oneself. I'm just going to wave on a few people. So many people with ADHD seem to experience injustice sensitivity more intensely. There is a neurological and psychological explanation for this, because we have huge emotional dysregulation. Dopamine deficiency plays a massive role, and when our brain lacks dopamine, emotionally charged moments can stick harder because they create a more stronger reaction than with neurotypicals. So I think my kids have probably seen me really flare up when it comes to things not being fair. When someone says something that isn't fair, like when they say to me things like, so one of the biggest ones was when people used to think I was lazy. I wasn't lazy. Half the time I was daydreaming. Half the time I was really struggling with focusing on things, getting things done on time. And people used to say, oh, she's not going to be able to do it. And I found that actually quite hurtful. And it made me want to do better. And it made me want to try and just do so much more than other people. So I was overcompensating. I'm people pleasing just because I don't want to feel those emotions and I want everybody happy around me. But when someone says something and I've worked so hard and someone criticizes it, I feel like an absolute tool. I feel like I'm no longer going to be able to do this. This is not my thing. And even something simple as a coach just saying that, look, me and you, we're never going to be able to work because we don't have the right synergy. I would try not to take that personally, but let's get real. I will take it personally. I would feel like as if it was just all about me. And I'm not a good coach, and I'm an imposter, and I'm never going to be able to do this again. That is how bad it gets for me. I'm just going to wave on to a couple of people. So impulsivity, rejection sensitivity, it makes us invoke a very strong reaction, which means then we end up having arguments, or we end up getting very, very upset over things. And it's just an awful time. So how does justice and sensitivity show up in everyday life? So workplaces, it could happen in friendships, it can happen in relationships. It is absolutely everywhere. Say, for example, if you get passed for a promotion, instead of thinking, oh, okay, this wasn't meant for me, let me try again, my brain would be thinking, okay, there's a conspiracy. They obviously chose that person because they like that person better than me. You know, the most ridiculous things that come up. If a friend cancels plans, I'm like, that person doesn't want to be my friend anymore. They don't want to hang out with me anymore. Even the most smallest of moments with someone taking credit for my idea, it just feels so devastating. I was like, that's my idea. Why am I not getting recognition for what I did? And it's like, you know what, it's just, it's the most bizarrest feeling ever, and I cannot control it. And I feel there's a lot of people out there that cannot control it. Hi, Manny. I'm just going to call you Manny because your name is so long. I cannot say whatever that says. And I am fine. The topic for today is injustice sensitivity. What do you think of injustice sensitivity when you feel so wronged that you're holding a grudge for a very long time? Do you hold a grudge? I hold a grudge. I hold grudges for ages. I wish I didn't. I wish I wasn't like that. But every time I see that person, or anytime I see somebody, that last conversation will be in my head. And then I remember why I don't like that person. And then that's it. I will never speak to that person ever again. And it has gotten in the way of a lot of my friendships, a lot of my personal relationships as well, with a lot of people that I had very dear to me. As a result of this has, I'm going to get emotional if I start talking about it more, because, you know, some of the things that I feel when I talk to other people, they say, oh, well, it wasn't that much of a big deal. But to me, it just seems like my world collapsed, you know. Can holding on to past injustices affect mental health? And if so, what are the common consequences? So chronic stress, migraines, resentment, burnout, it just happens so much more. It can make people a bit more hypervigilant, because if you are already on the path of looking for things that are negative, you're more likely to look for things that are negative, and you're more likely to see negativity, and then it's all woe is me. So we need to try and get ourselves out of that narrative and try and think of things that are going to be more positive. And even maybe think for a second, is this really the case, or is it just my injustice sensitivity speaking? Sometimes that can be a problem as well, because I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm trying to tell myself it might not be justice sensitivity, but my injustice sensitivity is telling me you need to go on revenge on this person. So then I don't really know what to do. So that's why I needed an expert to come in there and help me understand how this could actually work and how I could turn it around and make it better for me. So practical strategies that I actually thought of for people who are struggling to let go of these perceived injustices, say me, name it. Is this my injustice sensitivity talking, or challenge the thought? Is this going to matter to me in a year's time? And reframe it. Don't see it as something's happened to me, so therefore, you know, everything's going to go wrong. What's the lesson here? What's the reason things have happened? Now, I used to be told a lot, and it probably comes a lot in our culture as well, that, you know, forgiving, you must always forgive, because, you know, God is forgiving, therefore you should be. Well, if God is forgiving, and excuse me if I'm going to sound really blasphemous about this, but God is forgiving. I'm sure God will forgive you. Great. But I don't want to forgive you. I don't want to forgive those people that have hurt me, because that's just making them feel better. And why should I make them feel better when they went out of their way to hurt me? What's your take on that? Because I've got a very black and white view on that. If you disrespect me, that's it. our relationship is over. I will never speak to you again. And has that ever happened to you? Have you ever done something like that? Have you ever been so entrenched in your own injustice sensitivity that you really couldn't see the wood for your trees, and then you ended up losing relationships through it? Has that happened? That's happened to me. It's not a really good feeling, to be honest, but it's just something I try and help. I could try and reframe, but when you see red at the time, what do you do? And sometimes I feel very sad that some of the relationships that I've had has been broken for whatever reason, and I can't just bring myself to say anything and talk to them about it either, because I don't want to. Anyway, next question. How can someone differentiate between a valid grievance that needs to be addressed and an overreaction to the emotional dysregulation? What a fantastic question. Thank you so much, whoever sent that in. I can't remember who sent that in, but how can someone differentiate between a valid grievance that needs to be addressed and an overreaction due to emotional dysregulation? So I thought about this for a lot, and I think a lot of it is time and the amount of impact that that person has had. If something still feels just as raw after a few days and still affects certain parts of your body, you know, of life, and your body, and you're stressed all the time, it might be worth addressing. But do you feel like you want to address it if it's somebody that hurt you? I don't know. That's something that, again, I feel very, very strongly about, because I think to myself, well, you know, it's mostly rumination and how dare they do this to me? Why always me? How dare you do that to me? And it seems like emotional dysregulation again and again. And the same conversations go round and round and round in my head again and again and again. And every time I see that person, that conversation keeps going round and round in my head. And then I'm forced to think to myself, I don't want to see that person. And then, I don't know. I don't know the answer to these. That's why I needed an expert to come and talk to me about these things. Sometimes even a coach needs coaching, all right? I will hold my hands up. I do not have all the answers. I tried to answer these questions to the best of my ability, but I can promise you now, I will have some experts in a few weeks. Don't you worry. Mindset shifts or self-talk strategies. So one of the best ones is, I can be right or I can be free. Which one am I going to do? Am I seeking injustice or just a validation because I'm wrong? Which one is it going to be? This is unfair or is it unfortunate? It sometimes maybe might even help soften the emotional impact. So I like that one. Is this unfair or is this unfortunate? I really like that. What kind of things can we do together? I like this idea of brainstorming. I can see some people are really commenting. I'm going to come to your comments in a moment. Now, if someone is watching this at the moment and they realize that they struggle with injustice sensitivity, one of the things that I thought, and I'm going to do this as well, and I think maybe we can hold ourselves accountable for next week, and we'll check back in with this to see. There's one small powerful step that we can take to start managing better is just to take a breath. Take a breath before reacting, even if it means counting to 5. Count to 5 and just kind of think about, go back to, is this unfair or is this unfortunate? Which one is it? Because if you can figure out what this is and just slow yourself down just a little bit. And I have to admit, those people that know me know that my temper literally goes from 1 to 100 within 3 seconds flat. So for me to do something like this, to actually 5 seconds think about what I'm going to do and to act on this or process it or train myself just to slow down. what kind of things can we do to make sure? I think the idea is to recognize your cues and to recognize what happens when you start to feel a little bit upset. What can we do to kind of soften that blow and kind of, yeah, I can see a lot of people coming back to me going, I've got a short fuse. What can I do about this? What can I do about that? I feel that we may have to revisit this again, because I think that in justice sensitivity, particularly in our community as well, particularly in South Asian communities, if you feel wronged, you feel wronged. Oh, we feel wronged. Okay, so this is my take on injustice sensitivity. Let's go back to just rehash where our takeaway points were. I did make a whole long list of things. So just to recap on what justice sensitivity is. Injustice sensitivity is when you feel that unfairness just that little bit more than a neurotypical, and it will be something that you'll be ruminating for days. Sometimes it might even be years. I tell you now, I do have things that have been up there for years. It's gathering dust, but it's been up there for years. It is to do with a dopamine deficiency. Our brain lacks dopamine, particularly those who are ADHD. We lack huge dopamine. We need movement to create our dopamine because we don't create it unnaturally. So because of that, we are emotionally charged a little bit more. And then that means these emotionally charged moments. I just read I've just read a really funky comment. I'm going to say that in a minute. And these emotionally charged moments stick harder because they create a strong reaction. We mix in rejection sensitivity and impulsivity, and you've now got a mixed bag of an absolutely bonkers coach who will never be a therapist, because quite frankly, with injustice sensitivity, rejection sensitivity, impulsivity, inattentive ADHD, I'm going to be a complete mess. So that's why I decided to become a life coach and not a therapist. It makes us hypervigilant. It makes us want to look for things that are going to provide evidence to our narrative. So practical strategies are to think about whether or not something like this is going to matter to me in about a year's time. What's the lesson? We don't have to forgive and forget. It's okay. You don't have to forgive and forget. And I like that. I feel freer knowing that I don't have to forgive and forget. I can just move on. And if people don't like that, then that's their lookout. They shouldn't have done whatever they did in the first place. That's all I say on that subject. Okay, so what did you think, guys? I know it was a little bit disjointed, but that's only because I was fasting, and the next few weeks it might be like that. So apologies. I'd like to check back on the comments because we had some amazing comments. So I'm just going to go back to that. We've had Trent. I am going to use your real name. It's like a mental paralysis. Analysis paralysis, rather. That's such a good way of looking at it. Analysis paralysis. You end up just going round and round, analysing that moment again and again and again and again. You're going round and round and round and round, and every time you think of it, you're putting in another brick to add to that narrative that makes you feel even more. And then you start looking for evidence to show that actually you were justified in feeling the way you did. So I totally agree with that. It is almost like analysis paralysis. Man, I'm going to call you Man. Thank you so much for letting me say that. I think most of the people would be the same. Most of the people would be the same in what way? In a sense that everyone feels injustice at some point, a level, but it really depends on how big or small that injustice sensitivity comes up for you. So I guess that's, it really depends on how you see it. Malang Designer, hi, nice to see you. Man also commented, sometimes it's okay to forgive, but most of the times I don't want to forgive until I make that person feel the same or more than that. Do you know, I totally agree with that, because I feel like that until that person asks me for an apology, I can't tell whether they sincerely feel apologetic or they feel contrite in what they did, or whether or not they're just doing it because they want to feel better, or whether it's the same thing. So you can see where that confusion comes in. And that's why I can't put a lot of trust in a lot of people, because I doubt their sincerity. And maybe that's my past habits have come to haunt me, maybe. Or maybe there's trauma in there somewhere. I don't know. I might as well go speak to my therapist about that. Anyway. Biggie. Yes, hi, Biggie. Nice to see you. And let's see, Amber. Hi, Amber. Hi, Perry. You're amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Biggie, yeah, me too. I'm assuming that was about going from 0 to 100 within 3 seconds flat when it came to our temper. Amelia's laughing. Thank you so much. I want to call on this topic. Yeah, we can talk about this in a bit more detail. There are some people that have said meditation helps. Again, meditation is a big deal for a lot of people. I still struggle with meditation because I think the breathing thing for me is the only thing that I can do. Otherwise, if I try and sit with my eyes closed, I end up thinking about other things. But if I can just focus on the breathing, that helps. So with meditation, if you struggle with meditation and you find that your brain travels 1,000,000 miles an hour, just focus on breathing in through your nose, count to 3, and then out through your mouth, count to 3. No. And Fessel, hi Fessel, thank you so much. Wow, this has been the most people I've had so far. On the Gupcast I had loads of people, which was great, but to see so many people on my one, I love it. Tensionika ni, absolutely right. Tensionika ni, right? We don't want to be tension. We don't want to have tension in our lives. We don't want to do it. So whenever we feel injustice or things that are unfair, what am I going to do? I'm going to actually just think about it for 5 seconds and think, is this really unfair or is it really unfortunate? That's my takeaway. That's really, really helped me. That's my takeaway. That's a really good one. I'm going to remember that one. I'm extremely hypervigilant and aware. What do you mean by hypervigilant? What are you hypervigilant about, Trent? Tell me about that, yeah? Manny says, people sometimes do things wrong on purpose and they want us to forgive them at the same time, which isn't possible. Absolutely right. And I struggle with that because it's like, you know, oh, you should be saying sorry, that maaf kar do, unhone sorry bola, or, you know, please forgive them, they've said sorry. But it's just like, but are you really saying sorry? Are you going to go ahead and do exactly the same thing again? So for me, I kind of just think, look, don't apologize. Let's just move on from this. If you're going to do the same thing, then fair enough. Then that's our conversation over. We're never going to talk again. But then at the same time, I don't want to even give them that opportunity to do that again. I don't want them to give the opportunity to say to me, you know, to hurt me or to say things to me or to feel that they can do things like that. I don't want to do that. Trent has said, when I meet someone new, I'm at first thinking, how is this person going to get one over on me and screw me over, stuff like that. Yeah. I'm wondering whether that's to do with past trauma. Hypervigilant. Okay. So I'm wondering whether that's something to do with your past trauma, with where people have maybe used you for whatever reason and then discarded you. Or, I don't know, you tell me, where does that come from when you meet someone new? Where has that come from where you feel very paranoid about that person upon first glance? That's not something that comes to me naturally, by the way, not paranoia. For me, what's this? For me, when I first meet them, I am not reserved. I'm super friendly. And I do overshare. And I do treat them like their family straight away. And then I'll forget about them. That's the way it works for me. It'll be out of sight, out of mind. I won't ring anybody. I don't ring anybody. I don't even ring up my mother-in-law, and I'm sure that's a bone of contention for a lot of people. I don't ring anybody. It's just I just don't. If anybody wants to talk to me, they can. But I have explained that to people. But then when people don't call me, then I'm like, they don't want to speak to me. And now I'm wondering whether, oh goodness, I'm wondering whether they feel like that when I don't call anybody. I've just had a bit of an epiphany there. Okay, no more on this subject. Let's talk about where we are on our body doubling. What did you accomplish? While you were sitting there listening to me drone on about injustice sensitivity and how I've been wrong since back in 2003 and all the things that have happened to me in my life and how I've held a grudge and I'm holding on for so long that I've got trauma on my shoulders. Oh, I've just got another comment. Trent says, yeah, that one friend that made me doubt my dancing abilities and my confidence overall. It's getting better. I'm way less paranoid than I used to be. Surrounding yourself with the right people helps. And that is fact. That is a fact. Surrounding yourself with the people that accept you for who you are, do not question your madness. They just go with it. Those, my friend, are your tribe, and we are going to appreciate them. We are going to love them for who they are. Those people, I don't care whether they don't call me for ages because I know who they are and I know their sincerity. It's everyone else I have a problem with. And I guess as I've grown older, my social circle has diminished somewhat. So around the time when my mum was alive, you know, the social circle was huge. I knew so many people knew me, and everybody knew my mum and everyone knew my dad. And now, you know, mum's passed away, dad's moved on. The social circle now, I could probably count on my one hand the amount of people I can trust now compared to who I could trust back in the day. So yeah, I was able to get ready to go out. Yes, well done. That was good. You're able to get ready. Yes, we have to go somewhere, don't we? We better go. You have to surround yourself with people that uplift you and not tear you down. Absolutely right. So is there anybody else that did some body doubling today? I know the show has been a little bit disjointed. I promise you next week I will get better. But I did hit 6 people, so I'm very, very happy. So what's been your takeaway? What's been yours? What's been your takeaway from this? Unless you want to continue talking about this, I've still got another half an hour before I have to leave. But what's been your takeaway? My takeaway has been, from talking about this and saying some things out loud, that not every minor injustice needs to be an origin story. You can take a deep breath. You can unclench the fists and your buttocks. And maybe, just let that guy go. Or don't. I'm not your boss. I don't tell you what to do unless I'm coaching you. Then you have to listen to me. So if you want coaching, get in touch with me and we'll talk. Or not after this show, possibly, because it was a bit of a chaotic one. So if you joined in on the body doubling sessions, well done. Did you achieve what you wanted to do? Send me through your accountabilities. Let me know what you're doing. We will celebrate all these little wins. And if you set an accountability goal for next week, we will check back and do that. Until then, try not to start a lifelong vendetta against anybody, because that's my job. All right? Right, people, thank you so much for your time. I have had such good fun with the amount of interactions from all of you. Love you all. I'm so sorry you joined late to the party. I'm about to go home. I'm about to go and stuff my face now. Have yourself an amazing day. Tomorrow, that is, or an amazing week. All I can think about is my food, so I'm going to go. See you later. Bye.